Miss Sam, and today I'll be walking you through our Teen Kawaii Craft painted wood slabs. So come with me as I show you how I turn this into this. Let's go! Alright, in your kit you're going to find 2 round slabs of wood. They're not very thick. You're going to find some paint. I've put my paint on a plate so that I can blend the colors. You're also going to have foam brush. So all you'll need from home then is, if you want to use a palette, just a paper plate or something, a cup of water so that you can wet and clean your brush, and probably something to dry it off. Alright, so for my first wood piece, I want to do kind of a sunset look. So the first thing you're going to want to do is wet your brush. This will help the paint so that you can blend it a lot better. And then you don't want it too wet, so kind of make sure that it's not dripping. Alright, and we're going to start up here with a purple color. So take it and just lightly dab it on. Because you're using a sponge, it'll push that paint around quite a bit. So you won't need too much to get a good coverage. And I want to come about 1/3 of the way down, because then I want to blend into this pink magenta color. And you might have different colors in your kit, but that's okay. You'll have something really close. A little more purple. And you really don't need a lot to get good coverage. Then I'm just going to kind of go back and forth so that it's not thick and so it'll dry quicker. And then it's got a nice smooth texture. And then I'm going to take a little bit of purple and a little bit of pink on the brush at the same time. And I'm going to try to blend so that when I go into pink it doesn't look too harsh. Now I'm going to go full pink. Just dab it where I want it. And because I want these colors to blend, I'm not cleaning my brush in between. Or my sponge, rather. And the same thing with the purple, just kind of blend it out so it's nice and smooth. I think my pink might be a little too high, so I'm just going to brush off some excess pink, go back into the purple, and it doesn't have to be perfect either. So if you kind of like it like that, you want it to have like maybe a cloudy look, that would be fine. I want it a little more purple up top. Bring that pink down just a little on the sides. Ooh, got more purple in there than I want. This is why you want to have a good paper towel so that you can keep cleaning it off if you want to. There we go. Get more pink down here. Alright, so now I'm going to keep adding some more pink so that I can start blending some yellow in so you can get that sunset kind of color. These sponges hold a lot more paint than you think, so if you don't want to get purple in with your yellow, because that'll give you kind of a muddy color, gotta be kind of careful. Alright, so I'm going to start at the bottom and move up, and that's because down here at the bottom on top of my sunset colors I want to add trees, so that's what this black is for. Got too much water. Alright, so we're going to keep adding paint upwards. so that we get that kind of rosy sunset look. Because I want it to be a sunset, suns are round, we're going to try to do a circular motion here. So it looks a little rounder. Just kind of dab it in. And I think my pink might have dried a little too much, so we might have to add more pink to that. Cover the bottom here. Alright, so now I kind of want to blend it out with some pink, so I'll get some of that yellow out. Doesn't matter if there's a little bit in there because we want it to blend, so. Oops, I almost went into the wrong color. A little more pink. I think I want a little more yellow here, like in the center where the sun would be setting directly. Alright, get that excess paint out and just blend it so it's nice and soft. We don't have any of that thick paint. Alright. Alright, so that's what it looks like so far. I might add a little more pink here because it looks like it's mostly orangey, yellowy pink right now. So let me add a little more pink. Let me wash my brush first. And if your water gets too dirty, make sure you wash it out or else it might muddy up your paint. And then you'll have some brownie colors coming in. And I might actually have to go grab some more paper towel because this is pretty wet now. Oh, alright, looks like most of that came out. Alright. I'm going to add just a little more pink to this. Right here in the middle. Paint off, keep the water out. There we go. That looks a little more like what I was going for. And then just smooth out that paint. Alrighty. Alright, we're gonna let that dry now. So I will be back when this is fully dry. Alright, so my wood is, or my paint rather, is fully dry, so we can start putting on our next layer. While it was drying, I took the opportunity to get some clean water and I washed my brush fully in the sink so that there wouldn't be any residue of the other paint colors, because right now we're going to go in with white and I'm just going to add some clouds. So it's still a little damp so that I can still blend colors really easily, and I'm just going to go kind of up like this, down, and then give it a flat bottom. So you get kind of that cloud shape. Blend it out a little with a clean side so it looks fluffy. You don't want to put too much paint down here, or else your cloud will look really bright white. And you kind of want it to be see-through so you can get the colors of the sky through it. So there's one cloud, and using that same side that I dipped the corner of the paint in, I'm just gonna do another, probably a little cloud over here, like that. Blend it out with the clean side, the corner, a little length over here. And these are kind of those magical clouds that look really fluffy and airy. Just these really magical clouds that are soft and floofy. You can make them wherever you want, and you want them as big as you want. I think I'll add one more down here. It'll kind of be hidden behind the clouds once I paint behind the trees. Once I paint the trees in. But that's okay, that'll give a little, almost depth. And maybe one more cloud. I like painting clouds. I think that they're super fun. This one I think will make really kind of big and chunky, since the other ones are kind of smaller. Okay, alrighty, there are my clouds. And again, I'm gonna wait for those to dry off, and while this is drying, I'm gonna go clean my brush. Alright, once again, my paint is dry, so we are going to go ahead and get started on the trees. Now for the trees, you want to make sure that your brush is clean again and pretty dry, because you don't want your paint to be runny. So I washed it. Now we're just going to make sure there isn't any moisture. I'm going to do some pine trees. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this straight edge. We're going to dip that right into the black. So there's just a little bit of paint on the edge. And we're going to go in a straight line down for our tree trunk. And I'm going to put a few of these in different heights to kind of give me an idea of where I want my trees to be. Alright, so now that we have that, we're going to take the corner of our brush like we did with the clouds, and I'm going to start at the top so that make it too wide. You're just going to go back and forth to make like the branches of I'm making a pine tree. You don't have to, you can definitely do a floofier kind of tree. It doesn't have to be perfect because trees aren't perfect. So I kind of like to go in different directions so that it looks like not all the branches are going the same way. Alright. There's our first tree. Get a little more black on here, and you don't need to use too much or else it'll get really thick really fast. And just lightly go back and forth. Making the tree kind of wider the further down you go. If you're doing a different kind of tree, but you can do a different shape if you like. think my sponge is getting a little dry, so I'm just going to lightly dip it in water so that it will still blend out those colors a little bit. Alright. Little tree over in the corner, or well, I suppose it doesn't have a corner. Get the last tree over here around the edge. Alright, kind of like that. I don't really like how evenly spaced out they are, so I might go in, just add one more tree. It'll be right here, short one. Alrighty, and there is your first wood slab. So you'll want to let this dry, but I'll give you a good look at it here. Alright, and I will set this aside to dry. Alright, I have my second wood slab now, and I cleaned my foam sponge really well. I got some fresh water, and I have our next set of paints. So for this one, we're only using 2 colors. Because this is going to be a night sky, or 3 colors rather. One color is black. We're going to do blue almost to the top here. Almost all the way. We're going to take a little bit of black, start blending that in with the blue, so that we get this really pretty dark blue up here. You don't want pure black, because then that would be really dark. But you do want that to be a nice dark blue. The coolest thing about these foam brushes, or sponge brushes, is that they are super easy to blend with. Dark blue up around the top for the night sky. And then again, just make sure we blend it so it's nice and smooth. And then wash that so that we don't have any of that black when we start blending down to lighter colors. Alright. Bringing down this blue until just over halfway down. Really want to blend that top there. Now that we're just over halfway, I'm going to start using this lighter blue color so that we get a really pretty blue gradient here. And you can see my slab has a little crack in it, but that's okay. That just gives it cool character, I think. Little something in my paint there. Alright. Now we want to blend out this barrier here, so we'll get a little bit of blue, darker blue here to kind of soften that blend. Alrighty, I'm just gonna try to get more of that paint out because I want that darker blue more in the center here. That's the cool thing about this, like I said before, is that it all blends together really nicely. Alrighty. More of that blue. Soften up that gradient. Alrighty. I think I am pretty happy with that. That nice dark sky to kind of a lighter sky here at the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry, and while that's drying, again, I'm gonna wash my brushes and clean my water. Alright, now that this is all dry, we're gonna go ahead and for this one, we're going to do it a little differently. In the first one we did clouds, but since this I want to look like a night sky, we're going to try to do stars. So again, we're going to do the same kind of thing we did with the clouds, and we're going to use the very corner of our foam and just lightly dip it into the paint. You're not going to want a lot of paint on there at all. And we're going to try to do kind of a speckled, starry look. And once I have a couple down, I think I'm going to try to do a shooting star. We'll see how well that works. And this is why it's a good idea to wait until it's fully dry so you can rest your hand on it without worrying about smudging your beautiful gradient. Ooh, that's a big star. And that's perfectly fine. And I don't want them to be super evenly spaced out, so we're going to add some more little dots. I've got shaky hands, so this is hard for me, but you might have an easier time of it. Okay, that big one, I think I'm going to try to turn into a shooting star. And we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did with the trees, where I'm going to put just a little bit of paint all along there, and I'm just going to very, very lightly give it a little tail so it looks like it's shooting like that. I kind of like that. We'll give it one or two more. Star a little brighter. Like that. I am really happy with this. I think this is so cool. And it's not even done. I think maybe one more shooting star down here. And then when we put our tree line in, like before, we just won't cover them up. Bring down more stars. And if you wanted, I'm not going to because I already put a bunch of stars in, you could add a moon to make it really look like nighttime. If you wanted to in either of them, you could add little bird outlines to make it look like you have birds flying across. But I think for now, I'm gonna leave it at that so it can dry. So again, I'm gonna, not that I used a lot of paint for these, but I'm gonna go make sure that this is fully washed off so that I don't have any white paint when I'm painting my trees. Alright, so my stars are all dry, my paintbrush is clean, and it's a little too wet though, so I'm gonna dry that off a little bit. And then we're gonna get started again on our trees, and for this we're gonna do the exact same thing we did for the last one. So let's hop right into that. And looking at this, I think I want to put more stars down here. And I'm going to show you a different way that you can do this if you want to grab like a pencil or even a paintbrush and do that. And do little dots. Oh, that is so much easier for my poor shaky hands. Maybe even add more shooting stars if you wanted. Alrighty, so I would recommend letting that dry before you do anything with it. And now you have two really gorgeous painted wood slabs that you can hang up on your wall or give to someone as a gift. But the cool thing about these is this is what I painted, and you are welcome to paint this as well, but you can paint anything you want on these. We gave you the paint, and these are your canvases. So thank you again for coming with me as I painted these. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I think they're super cool, and I can't wait to put these up in my house. So I can't wait for you to join me next month for our June Kawaii craft as well. Until then, bye!